My 19M girlfriend 20 found an old suicide note, told my family and friends, and now they all think I'm going to kill myself. I've been dating Zoe for 2 years. She's great, but she's sometimes a little overprotective of me. She's very much like a mother. 2 weekends ago, she spent the weekend in my dorm with me and she helped me do a little cleaning and found a note in an old binder. The note was a suicide note from last year. It was sort of like a checklist of things that if I hadn't changed I would kill myself in a year. The date I killed myself would have been November 30th. I honestly had just assumed it had gotten tossed, thrown away and forgotten about it. Zoe thought I was still planning on killing myself and went catatonic. She was holding onto me and weeping uncontrollably. She wouldn't let me spend the night alone and stayed with me. I only was able to get away from her when I went to class Monday morning. I haven't been able to convince her that I'm not suicidal. She told my entire family and a shit ton of my friends, and now everyone is freaking the fuck out about something I wrote when I was a melodramatic 18-year-old. My parents want me to go back home and start therapy, and so does my girlfriend. I really need to know how to get these people off my ass. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I think it's a good thing she took this so seriously. You were suicidal, and you've recovered. That's awesome, by the way. But you've had time to recover and she's just now seeing it, so this is new to her. Especially if you wrote this last year and you've been with Zoe for 2 years. I'm guessing she feels horrible that she hadn't noticed. I'm sure, like many suicidal people, you were hiding it very well. And it might be hard for her to believe you're okay if you weren't okay and were behaving similarly. Because your date would be coming up. I'm sorry she got your family on your back. Believe me, I tried to commit suicide twice and I know how annoying, for lack of a better word, it is. I say therapy is a good thing in general. Even if you're not in immediate danger and even if there's not something wrong. It's good to have someone to talk to about your life who isn't, say, your friends and family. Especially now, considering it's going to be in the back of their heads that you were suicidal. They care about you. That's a great thing. Suicidal ideation is not melodrama. It's not a teenage thing. It's serious. Don't undersell how you used to feel. Since you're doing better, it's easy for you to think you were just being dramatic. But if you were at the point where you set a date and were making lists, that's beyond a passing fancy. Give them time and give yourself time. I'm happy you're with us. First, if I did the math correctly, your girlfriend being worried you might kill yourself fits the timeline. We're about a month away from the date you had set. People who do have plans to kill themselves often seem as if they've had a second lease on life after they've set the date, so having a more positive attitude can still be concerning. It's not unreasonable she was afraid. Second, you shouldn't need to go home, but some follow-up therapy is probably going to be useful. Useful for yourself, but also useful for, as you put it, getting them off your ass. But please don't be dismissive of their concern, it comes from a place of love. Third, in general, you shouldn't keep old suicide notes for safety reasons. It's much easier to stage a suicide if there's a note in the person's handwriting which fits suicidal thought processes. I don't think she should have shared that you were suicidal to your friends, although I can understand why. In that position I might have done the same, as I'd be on very high alert by a suicide note with the date we're currently approaching. Edit, thank you /Throry Oldman for the award. I lost someone to suicide out of the blue. Nobody knew he was suicidal or even depressed until he was already dead, and to this day we've never found anything on his computer, his phone, or in his personal things that would indicate he was suicidal. I would do anything to have found a note like your girlfriend did. She responded exactly as I would have, and she did the right thing by telling your parents. It concerns me that seemingly in the span of a year you went from "I'm absolutely going to kill myself" to "it's fine, no big deal." I think it would be a good idea to look into therapy, not only to appease your family and friends, but to help you work through whatever was plaguing you back then so you never have those thoughts again in the future. Okay, look, If I found a suicide note of someone I loved, I absolutely would not believe them if they said yeah but I'm not suicidal. The evidence she has that you are suicidal is far more concrete than the evidence that you aren't suicidal. Especially coming up to the date. And the actual date, as well. Not like I'm going to kill myself November 30th 2016, no, it's this year, and COVID has been a bad year for suicide already. Also, it was only a year ago, not exactly a long time for mental health to go from suicide to fine. I think you need to consider their perspective more. New roommate moved in today. We're complete strangers. He stole something immediately but returned it when confronted. WTF do I do? M20S. M20S, just moved to a new city with my company. I was here for a few days before new guy, M20S, moves in. He seems anxious so I go chill in my room for a few hours. When I come out to rummage through the kitchen I notice my liter of vodka is gone. I ask immediately, did you take my vodka? And he said yeah sorry. Then he went and got it from his room. A few shots were missing. Had I noticed a few shots missing, I would have been bothered. The fact he took the whole thing to his room has me in immediate trust issues territory. I have a ton of expensive shit here, and now I'm paranoid I can't trust this person when I'm gone to work. Obtaining and installing a lock in my room isn't easy, super remote place, no hardware stores, no Amazon. How do I deal with this head on? If it's company housing then why not ask the housing office to move you or their policy for stealing flatmates? It's only been a few hours, I'm just trying to catch my bearings. Is this an immediate get the fuck out situation or was the guy just super anxious and weird? I was living in a company share house last year. It's possible that he's a dick. It's also possible that you left something in the kitchen and he took it thinking it was communal or leftover from a previous occupant. Yes, I literally had bottle of vodka and other booze in the cupboard from previous occupants that left it behind. Ask the guy before you go reporting him to HR. He's in a new city and probably just as nervous as you are and realized he made a stupid mistake. If you're living together you could be good friends after a while. I didn't know anyone in the new city I moved to and I'm now really close with a few of them even though we don't live together anymore. But yes, he could be a bad person but don't assume the worst just yet. That's just strange. Did he say anything after you caught him? Or just hand you the bottle and run off to his room? Definitely talk to him and make it very clear that you won't put up with it and you will report it if it happens again. Did he think the company left the bottle there as a welcome? Lol, this is straight up weird. Who steals vodka? Lol. I'm leaning more in this direction in my mind only because it's easier to deal with. I'm hoping he thought it was vodka left my previous residence or something. Until I said did you take my vodka then he knew he fucked up. Still fucking weird to take it to your room though, right? It was super awkward after he gave it back and all a blur. I was flabbergasted, made a hot dog and got out of there. Returned soon after to bring the vodka to my room. Now drinking drinks and pondering the next move. Report this. Who knows if that's all the guy stole. Could also flat out tell him that you're reporting him because you should feel safe to leave your things around the house without them being stolen. I wouldn't trust him and would probably find a new roommate. What he did was completely inconsiderate. We're placed together in company housing, so it's a big deal to move. How do I talk to my husband about my MS? So I have MS. The symptoms are beginning to get bad and I'm often debilitated. My husband has been absolutely wonderful about it all. Supportive and helpful, he's done everything he can to take care of me and has never shown any resentment for it. I can't really have sex anymore. It's just too difficult and too painful for me, but I don't think it's fair to ask my husband to never have sex again. I brought up the idea of opening up the marriage for him but he won't hear about. He says he doesn't want anyone but me. Sweet, right? Well, here's the problem. My husband is in denial about my condition. He still believes I'm going to get better and we will one day resume our sex life. I won't and we won't. But he is holding on to the hope that some miracle cure will come along or some other miracle and I'll get better. He still hasn't accepted that this is permanent. There is no getting better. I'm only going to get worse. I need to get him to understand that our lives are never going back to what it was. I'm also scared that when he really realizes that this is permanent he won't be able to handle it. How can I help him? It's possible he just doesn't want to have sex with other women. We often characterize men as being willing to bang anything a pulse, but some men find prostitutes reviling. Infidelity, even if you approve of it, can also be like that. I think you're right that you need to explain the severity of MS until he understands it, but instead of pushing him towards seeking other women, it might be more beneficial to find out why he's reluctant. The other consideration is that he might see it as a trap. Asking your husband if he wants to open up the relationship is like the ultimate, "Do I look fat in this dress?" question. Speaking from experience, send your neurologist a message through your electronic medical record. Ask him to discuss this issue with your husband at your next appointment. Emphasize that the explanation needs to be clear and unequivocal, that no cure currently exists and that your medications are disease modifying and hopefully will slow the progression of the disease and can't be construed in any way as a cure. Your husband is either in denial or doesn't understand your condition and the purpose of your meds. Hopefully hearing the truth from your neurologist will clarify your situation for him. I don't get the impression that the husband thinks her current meds/treatment will cure her. He sounds like one of those people that thinks they could find a cure for cancer tomorrow. Similarly, he thinks a cure for MS is one breakthrough away. There will be support groups for MS sufferers and their families. Find one. Your hospital probably has a list. Also go chat to r/multiple sclerosis. Simply put, therapy. This is a traumatic, life-changing illness. Both of you should be in therapy to help you cope and marriage counseling to develop tools to handle this. He's going to really need it when caretaker fatigue starts to set in. Therapy, therapy, therapy. Couples therapy and even including him in your doctor's appointments might help him see the light.